Welcome to our next study in the series of Written for Our Learning. This is a series of videos, a series of studies that we're looking at that is based on Romans chapter 15, verse 4. The things that were written aforetime were written for our learning. We're living in a society today that has clearly manifested a distaste, even a hatred of history. In the news over the last year, if not more, we've been looking at a number of people who have disfigured monuments, who have torn monuments down, who have changed the names on buildings because of their perception of wrong message being sent. I even saw a couple of threats to remove the Mount Rushmore and the monument there in Georgia as well. Clearly, there are those who so detest what some of these people stood for that they want to completely remove them from our society. Same thing is being said about textbooks and history books, and they're they're trying to completely wipe out history. I want us to understand that from a biblical perspective as well as a historical perspective, these historical accounts are important. We can learn from poor behavior. We can learn from abuse and determine not to repeat it. Or we can look at those historical accounts and we can learn things that we should be doing, good examples of those down through the past. I'm reading a book right now. I Had a Hammer. It's the autobiography of Hank Aaron, black athlete who basically helped break the color barrier in professional baseball. We remember him for his 715 home runs, his breaking of Babe Ruth's record. We also hear of numerous death threats that he received because of that. Let's learn from these historical accounts. Let's learn to be better people. Let's learn to remove racism from our society by looking at both good and bad examples from history rather than simply trying to remove history. Winston Churchill, in a speech in 1948 to the House of Commons, paraphrased George Santayana, who was a Spanish philosopher, and he made this well-known statement: those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it, Such a reality. How are we going to learn from history, however, if we do not consider history, if we do not think about it, if we do not determine in our minds how we can change poor behavior models to good behavior, how we can emulate those who went down into history as being strong, powerful characters in society. As we look at our Bibles in this same regard, history is a resource for learning, and that's especially the case biblically. We look at Hebrews chapter 11, and we look at what's called as the role of faith, and we see so many powerful examples of biblical characters and the manifestation of an obedient response of faith to God, and they're remembered for those things. Abraham, Moses, Rahab, and the list goes on and on. As you get toward the end of chapter 11, you even see a group of those who are unnamed, but you see powerful examples of those who go down in history as powerful examples for us of good biblical character, what it takes to manifest a powerful biblical faith, an obedient response of faith. We even learn poor examples. Leviticus chapter 10, verses 1 and 2 contains an account about Nadab and Abihu, priests of God, who were killed immediately because they chose to get their fire from a different source than what they were authorized to do. Yes, see, even a negative example can be a powerful reminder for us that God demands and desires what he has authorized in our worship. You think about Israel and Judah after the reign of Solomon. You see the dividing of the 12 tribes into two nations, the 10 northern tribes, the nation of Israel, the 2 southern tribes of Benjamin and Judah being the nation of Judah. And we see what happened to them. We see the idolatry that was introduced into society, likely by Solomon and others like him. But you're seeing numerous prophets being sent to them to try to get them to reverse their course to no effect. We see the 10 northern tribes being carried away into Assyrian captivity. The same happened later regarding the 2 southern tribes of Judah. Despite the example of the 10 northern tribes, despite the prophets sent to them, they likewise repeated that history. You see, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. May we be those who keep our eye on history. May we learn from history. May we look at those good as well as bad examples and either emulate or attempt to change the mindsets of those. But let us also be biblical students of biblical history and learn from those lessons, as Paul encouraged through inspiration in Romans chapter 15, verse 4. Until next time, God bless you.